Yeah, totally.
Who is there with you?
So I have a very generous technician here in my place right now who is helping to repair some of the last minute fixtures in my apartment.
Oh!
And I gave you a warning of this last night.
Yeah.
So when you're like, who's there with you? I told you that this might be happening between 8 and 9 in the morning.
Well, you...
Miss Rosen.
Obviously, I don't listen to everything you say. So I love... This is a great way to start this episode.
Yeah, it is.
Obviously we talk way too much every day about everything. So there's certain things that I decide not to listen to. I have selective hearing to Hero. And I basically just thought that you had a lover in your home. What?
After everything that I've been through in the last month, you're thinking I have a freaking lover in my place? Fuck's sake, Rachel Rosen. Seriously? My heart is broken right now, and even more so by that freaking comment. Fuck's sake. I can barely compose myself right now over this last month. I'm breaking into tears, and I'm moving across the country. Like, what the fuck, man?
You knew there was going to be a time where we were trading places with our comments, so there it is. I'm now in your shoes all of a sudden. Yeah. I'm commenting like Hero would comment. Okay, wow, that was an interesting start. Welcome to Getting Jewcy. We just because she'll be popping on any moment here, we have a very juicy guest for you. But first, and look, I keep looking up. I've got a really weird setup today. One day I'll show you I'll do a tour of my home and all the different places I've done the podcast while still waiting for my office. Anyway,
she's popping off, folks.
I've got a screw loose this morning, apparently. So yes, what I wanted to ask you though, because we're going to ask Chloe this at the end of our episode, because we've been asking the same damn question this whole time for 72 episodes. The question we were asking today, we're going to ask the question at the beginning of the podcast now and ask the same question to the guest at the end of the podcast. So my question, it is the simplest question. Hero, what is juicier? Orange juice with pulp or orange juice without pulp? And why? And that is I know, such a serious question for the morning.
I haven't drank orange juice for 15 years, but I feel like I can have it on the taste of my tip of my tongue. I would say that pulp is juicier because it has way more texture and flavor. But when I think about it as a kid, me and my brother always wanted it without any pulp. So that's a good child no, I was gonna say the good child answer because you're just like a child. Wow. Okay. I'm putting my foot in my mouth a lot this episode. About time.
It is about time. I would have to agree. I'm just gonna skip right over what I just said. I'm going to have to agree with you. Yeah. Pulp all the way for me. Yeah. And I don't actually, I don't drink a lot of orange juice either, but when I do, and I have had it as an adult, maybe because as an adult too, you're like, oh, there's more nutritional value or content because the pulp.
And there's mimosas.
Oh, right. Because that's exactly what I thought of. No, it's not. Hilarious. Yeah. So no, pulp all the way for me as well. We'll have to ask Chloe that question. So we're both on the pulp train, it seems like. And speaking of Chloe, so Chloe Morgan is our guest today. Chloe Morgan, I met Chloe, and we'll talk about this when we talk to her. I met her many, many years ago, and I haven't seen her in many years. We met in the music industry, and I'm putting quotations here. I don't know why. It was the music industry. It's not like that's something. I think I'm just doing that because it was my short-lived career in the music industry behind the scenes. We met at Network Records or Network Music, which is Sarah McLachlan's Canadian record label in Vancouver. And Chloe is from London. She's from England, not London, Ontario. She's from England. And she was there maybe on a work visa at the time. She was in a pop group in England. So a girls' pop group. She is now a DJ in Vancouver, Canada. So she stayed, and I think she might have gone back to England and come then come back to Vancouver. I'll have to ask her about that. Mm-hmm. She is the mother of a wee one, a little girl who is adorable. And she's just like this fierce, full of energy. I just remember her being so sweet and so open. And she is very open talking about certain struggles that she's also had with mental health. So we can, discuss whether she wants to dive into that or not. I won't go into details about that in case she's not comfortable. So we'll see. Mm-hmm. But just really taking the world by storm in the DJ world as a female DJ, and which is pretty cool in Vancouver. And I mean, I don't know what's happened with her career, because with DJing, it's live, typically live stuff. So since COVID, I'm not sure. Right. So that's going to be an interesting conversation. I think I know she's done some digital stuff, and she also has a group. I think it's a digital kind of performing dance group / DJ service called Celebration of Life.
Oh, that's fun.
So, and that's something else I'm curious about what that entails. So
go, Chloe. You just rock the world with your spirit and your life. Yeah,
absolutely. And plus she's got the same name as my niece. So
you know what? I think there are some timeless names for human beings. And I would say that Chloe is definitely number one.
There she is.
Good morning. Oh, so 1 second. My audio is not connecting. Hold on.
Oh my God. And the accents are, I love it.
The accents there. Oh my God, hero. Look at you. Look at your baby. Oh my God.
I know. Look at her. She's already ready for life.
Are you? I was going to say, Chloe, are you awake this early in the morning? But you have a baby, so you probably were awake like hours ago, perhaps.
No, do you know, I'm actually like not a morning person at all.
Neither am I.
I do it like when I have to, you know what I mean? But at the same time, she's up at like 6:37, but her dad's usually up. But that's all going to be changing soon, so I have to start getting up early.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's just that last night I was recording an interview for my new radio show, and
wow,
and I was editing at like till nearly 12:30 at night, and then afterwards I have to I can't just go straight to bed. I'm like,
you're wired.
Unwind for a minute, and then it's like 1:30. Then I'm talking to my sister, and I'm like, I need to go to bed.
Oh my God. Well, Chloe, first of all, I haven't seen you in like 15, not 15 years, but I mean, I know we only met that one time, and it was such a long time ago. Yeah. But you, absolutely. But you left such an impression with me. And I'm not just saying that because we're talking to you now, but it's true. Yeah. Like, and I was just saying to Hero, so we kind of did we did a little introduction just before you popped on. I know you have no idea what we just said about you. They were good things. And so like basically Chloe and I was saying that we met at Network record label. I don't know if Network Music in Vancouver. And at the time, was that your first time from England to Vancouver? I don't remember.
No, so I'd been in Vancouver. Well, the first time I'd been to Vancouver, actually, I was part of a girl group that was signed to Warner Brothers, and we shot a music video in Vancouver, and that was in 2002, I believe. Wow. Yeah, and then the next time, so I moved out, I think around 2004 or 5.
Yep.
And then 2005, I think it was. Yeah, because I remember I was married. I was married at the time. Yeah, so that was 2006. I got married. So then it would have been maybe, oh gosh, let me think about this. I'm just trying to think. I was around, now it was about 10 years ago. So
was it? Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So like 2012, something like that, was it?
Okay.
I don't know. I should remember that. And I should remember that too. And I seriously don't, like, so much has happened since then. But with that being said, so you, and it sounds like, so we kind of, introduced you. You are this wonderful powerhouse, female, fierce DJ, mother, content creator, collaborator, now radio talk show host, which I had no idea. So, and
yes, I just got given a show with iHeartRadio, and it's DJRADIO.ca with iHeartRadio. So every Saturday I have my own show. So it's all my music, it's all hit music, and then I get to play my music, which is just starting to come out now.
Yes.
And also I get to perform live as well. I can do live sets on the radio, and then I have like really inspiring guests as well that I bring on every single week. So, and the guests are amazing. Like they've done amazing things. So yeah,
so cool. So I want to go back to how you got into what you're doing now. So I feel like you have such a history with music. I was kind of reading, like, did you play the violin or something like that? So you're not just, I mean, you're kind of got your hands in all kinds of instruments, and, you know, including your voice and those kinds of things. But was it something that, you know, you grew up with family, or was it something that you just kind of were interested in, and you're like, hey, mom, dad, like, can you pay for music lessons for me?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my great grandma was actually a pianist.
Wow.
And so I actually play piano too, but I got to kind of like work back on my chops again, because I've been so involved with the DJing, and I'm a very sort of like tunnel vision person, so I have to like focus on one thing and be really great at that.
Yeah.
But no, I started playing violin, singing first, actually, singing and acting. And then, but my mom, she went to a stage school growing up. And so I think originally, like, she's seen in me the same drive, or more of a drive, actually, and the passion. And she sort of was like, well, I didn't want to do it anymore, but I see it in my daughter, so I'll push her into it instead. Yeah. So I think, you know, I had to find my own way eventually, because obviously, you know, you have to do your call. You can't live somebody else's life, you know what I mean? And so I think there was a lot of figuring out of like who I really was and who I've been created to be, and that kind of thing. That feels like that took like 30 years to figure out.
Oh my God. Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get that. I think, and Hero's in that, we're both kind of in a bit of transition. I'm like not even in the regular place I normally do this in. So I'm looking at weird angles because I've got a monitor and then my laptop, and Hero's in the middle of moving to Toronto. So he's actually gonna, you know, so speaking of, you know, just growing up and changes, I mean, that doesn't end, never ends.
Does not end at all.
Never ends.
Does not end. And also, I guess you said 30 years. I mean, dare I ask, like, where did you start in your journey in terms of music? You said that were kind of like from your great grandmother, and then into your own generation.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of found myself at 30. Like I was. I mean, I've been singing as long as I can remember. I mean, I must have been coming out the womb singing or something, because all I can remember is singing. You know, and I've been on the stage since I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
And then, you know, it was like doing lots of musicals and then lots of classes and training in tap and ballet. And it wasn't really, and singing and piano and acting and the whole thing. And I was going to school and then doing all of that outside of school as well. So I was definitely being sort of like prepped from a young age. But when I was 16, I landed a scholarship into a stage school in London.
Wow.
Called the London Studio Centre. And and basically it was like full on in my craft at that point. I mean, it was like ballet every single morning. And I remember just crying in my ballet class, because it was like everything I'd learned wasn't really right in ballet too. I had to relearn ballet, and it was just like I've been doing ballet since I was like 5 years old, and then suddenly now I'm at 16 in this class, finding out that like I haven't really trained my body properly. And so it was like I remember just crying in my class, but having to like relearn and really, because I wasn't really properly using my muscles.
Yeah.
so yeah, I had to relearn, and so I was there for 2 years, and I got onto a TV show. It was like a pop stars show.
I read that,
and
yeah.
became one of the finalists on the show, and so that was like over 8 months of doing that, and then I was signed to Warner Brothers from that. So it's been like it was consistent with something happening all the time, you know.
Wow. Now, out of curiosity, when you're talking about Pop Stars, the show, that wasn't the initial like early reality TV generation show called Pop Stars, was it?
Pop Stars, The Rivals, it was called.
Okay. Was it a Simon Cowell show?
It was similar. It was. It wasn't Simon Cowell though. It was actually Jerry Halliwell, who was a Spice Girl.
Yeah.
The redhead.
Yes. I remember that show. I remember that show.
Chloe, I'm in that age. Like I remember getting not just one, but 2 Spice Girl CDs when I was like 12 or 13 years old, because they were so popular at the time. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I remember that show because that was actually one of the first major competitive reality shows that came out like in the early generations, and it was called Pop Stars. Wow. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a battle of the boys against the girls.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was one of the finalists in the show.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I have to go back for a second because you said about and I'm not going to age you. I don't want you don't have to tell your age, but I just feel like we're all around kind of the same age.
The same age for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like because back when I was 16 or going throughout those high school years, and I'm just thinking back to as you said, you were a dancer and you felt like you were doing everything wrong, and then you went to school and you're like, okay, well, this is what my body should be doing in quotations. But I feel like things have changed so much as far as body image and what people feel like a dancer should look like or should be doing when it comes to health, when it comes to routine. Like there's a time where all dancers were they all smoked and they were all like not nourishing their bodies in the right way. So I guess my question is, was that kind of around the time that you were doing these things? Did you find that difficult? Was it?
Well, the struggle I had was I had an eating disorder. And I think at that time, there was a real pressure on women to be thin. It was like the thing, I remember like 10, 15 years ago, it was all about being thin, like stick thin, right?
Yeah,
and like that model, and I just know it was at sort of the height of a lot of women who had anorexia, and I mean, it's still obviously we know people still struggle with all of that, but I definitely believe that there was a point. I think maybe it was about the 10-15 year mark, but it became popular to be like curvy, what I mean? And so. For me, Amani, that's enough, thank you.
She's a singer too.
I know, she's just on one this morning. So for me it was like I really, really struggled with the bulimia anorexia. That's what I was struggling with. And and it really started from, I first started struggling around like 14.
Yeah.
And then it was like, it was a touch and go. It wasn't really, it was skipping meals type of thing. It was like warming up to it.
Yeah.
And then when I was 16, 17, it really hit me. After I lost my uncle especially, he was like a father to me. I basically plummeted, and I had this one thing that I just latched onto, and so that went on for about at least 10 years. Real problems with, and just moments, obviously you think you're going to end up dying from it or never overcoming it. You're always going to be stuck with this thing. And thankfully, actually it was when my father passed, I think that's when I came to Network, 2009, I think it was.
Okay, there you go.
Because after my father passed, because I went there. Yeah. And it was in that year that I overcame the eating disorder.
Wow.
When I met you, I was overcoming an eating disorder at that point.
Wow. Chloe, first of all, thank you for sharing that, because I feel like also on this podcast, what we do, like what we kind of pride ourselves in is we we can talk about the shiny, glitzy glamour, all the stuff that's happening on the outside, all the social media presence, all that kind of stuff. But I feel like, in order to really know a human and to really connect with them is to get deeper than that, and even just you being here with your child, it's like, hey, she's a multitasker. She's got a lot of things going on, and you worked really hard to get where you are. It's not just like, bam, here I am, and this is
not at all
right. So, but it's interesting because back then, and actually my uncle, there's a common ground here a bit. My uncle actually was the director of the National Ballet Company of Canada for many years. And then he was the director for the Stuttgart Ballet Company in Germany for many years. And I just remember as a kid, he would tell me about, like, it was almost like a positive thing for them to kind of enforce dancers. And he feels so bad about this now, to not eat as much, or to, like that was something that was instilled in his dancers, which is horrible. But like many years later,
I would say it's definitely like it's an old school mentality. And when I don't think they really understood too much about eating disorders and the psychological, and obviously it's not just to do with weight, it's to do with like low self-image, as well. And just really like not loving yourself, or there's so many layers to it. But for me, it was, even overcoming the eating disorder, it took, at least another 5 to 7 years for my mind to be fully restored, because even like because you can stop the physical stuff, but you can still struggle in your mind. And I was thankfully, I've been totally set free from that. That's not even you wouldn't even believe I would have ever had that problem. And it's so funny now, because I'm just like, I love my food too. And and I'm just like, how in the world? Like, it just feels like a bit of a waste of time. But I know it's not, because I know that I'm able to now help other women or men. Or, just because it's really not even about.
Oh no, bless you.
It's really not even about the eating, or it's really about, like I said, understanding who you are and overcoming your trauma, because it's the trauma that hits us, and we all manifest it differently.
Absolutely.
Some people do drugs. I've gone through that too. But some people do, have sex addictions or shopping addictions, or they however way that they want to manifest or deal with it. It's not necessarily that it's right, but it's just a way of dealing with an issue. And so we have to learn, now, and I think more than ever. And I definitely think as an artist, and I was saying this last night actually to my girl that I had come in interview, who's actually a really close friend of mine, who's like a major choreographer now, and she's done like Cirque du Soleil shows and all kinds of stuff. Of course, it's just impossible. Now, we were saying, as artists, we are the architects of society for culture, right? And music and entertainment and all that stuff. And so we have to work really, really hard now to really raise the bar, to set a new standard, to help people in this, because it was all based on like fear and control and all of that stuff. And so we now have to like set a new trajectory for our next generation. Otherwise, there's not a lot of hope for them if we, you know what I'm saying, especially the times that we're in now. So we really have to like be focusing on health, like tools that are going to help us to overcome, and all of that kind of stuff. It's long, and I feel like for me, the reason like my career didn't take off until it's happening now is because I really believe in divine timing, and for me it wasn't my time before because of just the person I am today and who I'm becoming and who I've been created to be on this planet. And I know that's to help people through what I do, through my art, through just being who I am, and so I feel like now is the time more than ever, because we're, the world is changing, as we all know. And it's not as bad as they're trying to make it out to be that, that's it. We're all being controlled and we don't have any freedom anymore. But that's not the real truth. The real reality is like the system is crumbling and, there's a new, the people are actually elevating now out of this control, out of, the whole systematic suppression that's been going on for hundreds of years. Like we are coming out of that. And so, we have to be strong. We have to be there for one another and we have to learn tools, because it's a battle in our minds, most of it.
Absolutely.
It's not a physical battle, but it's a spiritual and mental battle. So we have to be prepared and, and be there for each other. And be real. This is another thing that's so important now. And so, you were saying like, thank you for being so honest.
Yeah.
We're at a time now in history, especially now where people are done with the fake stuff. You know what I mean? Now it's all about people just want the real thing. They want the real deal. They want real. And so that's what we really have to, it's so important that we take the masks off. We become our authentic selves, and not be afraid, to be who we are, because that's who we've been created to be.
Absolutely. The one thing that I hope people don't get into, into the trenches with those is thinking, okay, yes, like be authentic and be real and all those kinds of things. But now what I'm noticing a bit, which is trending on social media, is everybody thinks that they have to be real and genuine and authentic. So it's almost like they're forcing it.
Right.
So when they're forcing it, sometimes it is coming across as not being genuine. So there really is like that fine line. And then, not only that, but like forcing in the way of creating these reels and these stories, reels as in REELS, and stories that are, I don't know if you know what I'm saying. Like they're coming up with all these things that are edited and that are, all those kinds of things, but they're like I said, they're trying to be real, but again, it's a little bit of this glitz and glamour to it. So there really is that fine line. So it's almost like that's become like a trend, which is a good trend. Don't get me wrong, but we really do have to be careful. I think that we don't blur those lines still.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. I don't know how to get around that.
Well, I think
that the real reality is, the only thing that is really real, the true currency is love. And so when we're coming from a place of love,
true,
and kindness and empathy and compassion, joy, it casts out all fear, which is force and pressure and all this stuff, that we feel that we need to be. So I think it's just getting into that true place, that real frequency of love. Absolutely. And then, from there, a lot of healing can begin, because it's just, the world needs to be healed. This is we're living in a state of like, a lot of sickness right now, so that's really, I think, the only thing that's going to make the change is love, nothing else. Love and just, loving people back into wholeness, accepting people, stop trying to change people, just the only one you can actually change, and that's even hard to do, is yourself.
Yep.
So there's no point of, we got to stop controlling people.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, we have to just stop controlling people and just like let people be who they are. And then, I just pray for people. Do you know what I mean? And then God, change me where I'm wrong, change them where they're wrong. Let's keep it pushing. That's your human experience. Awesome. This is my human experience. Great. Right. Just keep it going. Do you know what I mean? Instead of like, that's not right, and that you should believe this, and it's like,
totally.
Yeah.
Honestly, all of that stuff is just, it's a low vibration of living.
Yes.
Yep, for sure. And I mean, in some ways, I even look at it in terms every time I'm walking from the SkyTrain, and I see more and more outside of public transit stations, people preaching, people. I don't even know if they've been licensed. They probably just kind of set up a station there with whatever promotional material, and they just start speaking and whatever they're talking about, and it's amazing, because I'm just like, where are you in your head right now that makes you feel like you need to preach and make you feel like you have to publicly speak out to public people without their consent? And you have a freedom of speech to speak for sure, but you realize where in your brain you are? Probably not, because otherwise you might be a little bit more aware of your surroundings and to not project your feelings or your agenda onto other people. So as you're saying, you know, love yourself, but also and respect others where they're at as well. And so I don't know. I find in terms of, that's actually an interesting segue. When you're talking about being a radio producer, you're having a show, you're sharing your voice, you have guests on the show that are doing what they're doing. What are your thoughts about, again, how is there so-called too much of going to the other side of sharing your voice to the point where it can also create an unintentional movement of voices that might also cause harm to other people? And, you know, without being specific, there are certain things that have happened in our society in the last couple of years where maybe that freedom of speech, even if it's from a place of love or acceptance or amplifying voices, can also have its own detriment.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So when I started this show, I just decided that it was going to be about good news. Yeah. And so I don't share negativity on my show. You know, basically it's like a breeding ground for encouragement, for elevation. That's pretty much what the whole show is about. It's about, and anybody who's my guests that I bring on is literally putting a spotlight on them and bringing out all the greatness about them and encouraging others, you know, to do the same thing. So there's no, I kind of, even when it comes to talking about stuff that's going on in the world, I decided lately, and it was because I'm working with this other artist from the States and he just really inspired me. But he was saying, like, him and I both have exactly the same views, all of that, but he does not share any of it. He just focuses in on what he's called here to do, which is, you know, his art and music and stuff. Yeah. And so I looked at him and I was, you know, because I was sharing little things, you know, and then I was thinking, this is not getting me anywhere. You know what I mean? And so I need to just come back to my core. What am I here to do? I'm here to uplift people. That is what I know I'm here to do. You know what I mean? So I'm just my channel is going to be all about uplifting and elevation and just making people feel great. You know what I mean? And bringing people out of that, that negativity or that dark space. At least they know that when they come to my channel or my social media, they're going to find joy. They're going to find they're going to find elevation and also like dialogue. I suppose it's going to make them have to think more about their own lives in a healthy, positive way. It's all about positivity, you know. And so that's pretty much what, you know, the show is just sharing good news and sharing. So when we talk about the world, I'm just preaching the good news in the sense of, like, you know, we're actually going into a time of elevation, people. That's what's really happening. So it's stirring people up to, like, focus on the right thing, because it's all about what we choose to focus on. Yeah. We can so look at the negative thing and go, oh my God, and just plummet down with it. Or we can look at, we can choose hope and faith and those things and look above, you know what I mean? And that's actually what we should be meditating on every day, is everything above board, not below. So that's pretty much it. And so there's no force about it, you know what I mean? It's just we're here to just elevate and bring joy and positivity. Is so important at this point. And just stay focused on that. For me, it's like, now I know I'm just gonna. That's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to, like. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just adding to the negative cycle, and everybody's so focused on all of this right now, and it's like, get back to what you're here to do. Yeah. Focus on that, because that's going to help you a lot more than this other stuff. So. Honestly, lately, I feel like I'm just not really in this world anymore. I've literally been like, not my blinders on, because I'm aware of, and I hear the stuff that's going on, but I'm like so focused on the mission, you know what I mean? That to me, all of that fear, that's not my reality. Yeah. You know, the mask, none of that stuff is not my reality. my reality is stepping into that place of love and joy and aiding other people in there as well. That's my reality.
Okay. Who taught you that? Because I have to say, it's funny as you're talking, I'm like, first of all, Hero and I, there's this Jewishness. Okay, that the podcast called Getting Jewcy. You don't have to be Jewish to be on the podcast. It was just this play on words. We both have this shared background, but in Judaism, and we're not even that Jewish, we're like very ishy Jews, but there's a whole thing that you question everything. So Judaism is very much about like questioning the shit, excuse my French, I know your kids are, out of everything. And so I think what we were taught even growing up is like, there's not that there's like a hidden agenda, but there's kind of a negative undertone also when you're told to question everything. Is it's like, okay, well then maybe that's not the right perspective. Maybe I shouldn't feel happy or joy. Like there's also that. So where did you learn this? Was it self-taught? Was it just like, I'm just curious where it came from, because it's beautiful. I feel it from your social media, from all those types of things.
I mean, I would definitely say, God, my own personal relationship with God, you know, and I'm not religious. Like that's just not, I want to get as far away from that as possible, but I have a real relationship with God, you know, so that relationship's very real for me. So I would say that's really been like my driving factor, I think, but also just things that I've learned along the way. And just, I don't know, I think you attract, you stop learning to chase and you start attracting. So you just start attracting the right thing. And I think a lot of it, to be honest, was like self-healing, you know, overcoming and coming to a place, finding that from within first, you know, because you can't put it on. You actually have to do the work.
Yes.
You really do. You and so I have literally done so much work to really face my issues and face the things that I needed to face, the demons, face whatever you needed to face, so I couldn't really overcome. And I wasn't not afraid anymore, you know, like especially lately, I feel like I'm really coming into a place of total freedom and fearlessness. Oh, and I'm actually, another thing is I'm actually part of this community. It's called Artistology. And it is my, an auntie sort of bylaw. I'm not married, but so my partner at the time, his aunt is Shaka Khan, which is, you know, the legendary singer.
Sorry, what? Okay, yeah, I do. Okay, continue.
Wow. And so her sister, she started this community called Artistology, which is for artists. And her and I literally are like, I mean, she's like a second mum to me now. Like we are so close. And so I've been part of her community for over a year now. And her and I mean, she came on the radio show and talked about, you know, her whole career, which is amazing. Like she's won 2 Grammys and
wow.
Obviously like she managed her sister Shaka as well for years. And anyway, so she's been mentoring me for the past year or so. And I think honestly, having that mentorship has been like life-changing for me. Plus, like being part of her community is absolutely incredible, because we literally are, we believe we're the architects of society. We're here to light the way, to set a new standard for the industry.
Yeah.
And so we're all, I mean, we have like, you know, women's healing groups and all kinds of stuff for artists, you know, and so we've done a lot of work. We do these daily activations every day, and everybody's so like, such beautiful souls. I can't even, so when you're with beautiful souls every day and you're fellowshipping that way, and everyone's sharing, and we don't all believe the same thing, but there's a lot of respect, and also my mind has opened up a lot to other people's perspectives and other people's way of thinking, and some of it I like, you know, some of it I'm like, I'll take a piece of that, and the other stuff I don't like, are just, again, it's your human experience. This is my human. I'm going to take what works, going to work for me, what I think is resonating, and the other stuff I'm just going to disregard and just leave it there. Like, don't need to make anybody feel bad. You know, it just doesn't resonate, you know, but I will take the stuff that does. And so I think I've learned a lot from everybody's perspectives, and that just that we talk about gratitude we do gratitude every day. We do all these exercises which really builds our spiritual mental muscles. And then I mean, everybody's just such a beautiful light there too. So when you're surrounded by that every day, it's like you're a product of your environment. You know what I mean? So I think being part of this community has literally just like transformed me, I think.
That is so freaking cool. It's all about supporting humans. It sounds so simple, but it is that simple. It can be that simple. And what is it called again? You mentioned
artistology.
Artistology. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm missing something like that in my life, because it's funny, like and then when you've had that in your life at some point and then you don't for a while, there's a real night and day. Like, I mean, you can keep it up on your own for, you know, a certain length of time, but humans are meant to interact with other humans. We're meant to lift each other up and support each other. And so it's interesting when you do take that away and you've had it at some point, you're like, oh, wow. Okay. No, I need the support of other beautiful people.
Healthy communities. That's what, you know, because we can be part of very unhealthy communities, and we see what that does. You know, we see that doesn't really add any measure to our lives. And so, you know, I think this is the first community I've been part of that I'm like, I mean, I've never been part of something like this. Like everything I've ever been part of, there's been like bitchiness or just jealousy or just stuff that is just like not good for the human soul. But this is the first community I've been part of that's literally like just pure light, and it's just pure and beautiful. And even when we go through like challenges, we work it through as a family. Wow. Because family isn't just like who you were born into. Family is who you're doing life with. This is family. This is family right now. It's like we're pouring into each other. And that is, I think, it's great breeding ground for beautiful things to happen.
Well said.
Go ahead. Sorry, Hero. And I went like this because Hero, I was just even recently saying, Hero and I have been really good friends for a few years now, but he truly is my brother. And we've said that. And it's, like in the past, I mean, God knows the past year and a half, 2 years has been the hardest on most of all of humanity, who's never known real hardship of war or those types of things, right? So to have somebody, you know, in your life over this past little while. So with that being said, with artists and the artist community who for the first while of COVID weren't allowed to practice their craft live or be with people, I can only imagine, like, how has that been for you? I mean, now you've got this, you're embarking on a journey where you don't necessarily have to be live in front of people, but how has that been for your DJing? So what has that looked like for you?
I mean, to be honest, this whole thing was a complete blessing in disguise for me, because I mean, it did one thing or the other. Either you got into your art or you just sort of like retracted.
Yeah.
Me, you know, okay.
What is good.
Yeah, cleaning. Are you going to clean? No? No, Mummy wants to do it instead. No, so during that time, it was great for me because it got me into writing music again. It got, and so I took the time. I actually wrote my greatest music during that time. Because I realized, okay, like now it's time to like write music that's going to really uplift and help people. And so, and I was already like going on that path anyway for quite a while. And so, I'd come out, because we think we all have to like write like Rihanna or Beyonce, or like, we have to shake our booties and be sexy and all of this stuff. And I was just like, for me, it was just like, I think the more I began to like know who I was and strip away all of that stuff. It's like I can just literally just come as I am. Like, you know, I don't need to add all that extra stuff or try to sell sex and all of that stuff. That's just, I know that now that's just not my path. And, you know, I'm here to bring light. But so for me, I ended up writing I ended up creating a digital show called Celebrating Life, where we had like dancers. We had a full production. So literally I've been living my dream like since
that's amazing.
Since the end of last year. I did when the pandemic, you know, all that started, had to stop, and I was DJing for a while, like at home and doing that. And then it just came to a point where I was like, okay, this isn't really, I'm not just going to sit here on Instagram and be kicked off and stuff because I'm playing other people's music. So I took like a month or so off of social media completely, just to spend time with my daughter and just to really kind of recenter and figure out like, what am I here to do? And then I got a coach. And then basically I started doing the live shows because someone I knew had a production studio, and he allowed me to, well, he was like, let's do a show like once a month. And it was meant to be just like me going in there and just DJing him, doing some cool lighting effect. Turned into this like big production. You know, it was like everything was staged out.
At least she's entertaining herself. That's great.
Right. But everything is staged out, and it was just, it became a lot bigger and you know, and then it was, the team got bigger and all of that stuff, and then it ended up attracting like more people who are like absolutely amazing creatives and people in the industry coming alongside. And so and then like from that, like when I just about to release my first single in August, Stars.
That was in my head the whole morning actually before you popped on.
Oh, amazing. And, you know, and so then I got contacted by this guy who I'm now like full on working with from the States, who's another music artist, but also he's a you know, well-known producer as well. He's produced for tons of people like Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown, Justin Bieber, a ton of people.
Wow.
And he contacted me and was like, well, I've got this campaign that my company and I are doing for artists, you know. And I was like, great, I'm actually just about to release my first single. So it was like kind of perfect time. I mean, it was such divine timing, the whole thing.
Wow.
And now like he's going to be doing a tour in about a year, and he wants me to be the opening act.
Wow. Chloe, congratulations.
So it's just really, really amazing things. And we're going to make a record and all kinds of stuff. Like this guy is like, you know, he's blowing up right now as well. But so we're literally just talking yesterday about we're going to be making a record soon with each other.
Holy moly, that's incredible.
So really great things are happening. And I'm just about to prepare for my next music video. Just about to prepare for my next music video, which is coming out in February. So lots of stuff is I've got so much going on that I'm like, and a baby. I'm like literally a full-time mum and a full-time music artist. So
wow.
So we neither of us have children, but there's people that listen to this, I'm sure, that are going to want to know, how do you do it as a mom? Because how old is she? Is she not even two years old?
No,
she's 2. Okay. So I hope that even by people listening to this podcast or watching it, that they're like mothers or whomever that has a child is inspired by, you can still have a career, you can still do it.
For sure. You don't need to be J-Lo. Do you know, it's so funny. It's so funny. We literally, so on my radio show I'm so glad you said this. On my radio show last night, the girl I had in, I've known her for like 15 years. She's gone on to do she was already touring as a dancer when I first met her.
Yeah.
And now she's just done like amazing things. Like she just did, she choreographed for A Week Away, which went to #1 on Netflix, which is like a faith-based musical.
Okay.
And
wow.
Anyway, so we were saying last night, she just had a baby, you know, and my baby's 2 now. She's not a baby anymore, a toddler.
Yes.
But basically we were saying, I said to her, let's talk about how there is, this misconception in the industry, or just in general, how you cannot be successful and being a mother. You can't have a career. Let's talk about this, because that is a total lie.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people doing it now. And she was like, yeah, and you don't need to be J-Lo. You know what I mean? Like, you absolutely be. And it really comes down to, well, first of all, it's that old mindset. It's that old way of thinking. Like, you know, like you had to be 18 to make it, like a Britney Spears. Now it's like we realize as music artists, you can make it really at any point, as long as you're being true to your music and you know, and bringing out stuff that really is, who you are, and people can relate to it. And it's the music at the end of the day that's going to sell. But yeah, being a mother, it's just like that's an old school mentality. You know? And also we're about to set a new trajectory for our next generation. Like, we're not stuck in the old generation. We should be constantly progressing, you know. And so for me, I know for me, it's a total lie to believe something like that. And, you know, because I've done it. I've literally, when I had Amani, I was back on stage 2 weeks after I gave birth.
Wow.
So it is absolutely possible. It's not impossible. It's a mindset issue, you know. So if you can overcome that in your mind, and you know that we can do anything. We need to stop putting limits on people. Like, you can't do this, and you have to be this, and all of that is putting people in boxes. You know, we've got to throw that whole idea away and go, we are creative. We're beings that can do anything. You know, there's nothing is outside of our limits. And so, you know, it's the only limits that we place on ourselves that stop us from getting to our destiny. You know, so that's the real reality of the situation. And, you know, being a mother, actually, to be honest, we were saying for us, it made us more motivated, because now it's not just you that you're looking after. Now you've got somebody to fend for. Yes. And I feel like people definitely took me a lot more seriously now being a mother, you know, and, you know, but especially bringing me, because the other thing too, I think when we're solo, I think people can think, you know, that you quite selfish, you know what I mean? So sometimes you don't want to align or help as much, but when you become a mother, and like they see the evidence of that, and then they see that you're actually caring for somebody, people are more willing to help. It's a very and honestly, it's what you project.
It's all back to, you know, we've circled around many topics, but it's all come back to the same core, which is what you just said, you know. And it's about, I mean, it's also, I think that we find our freedom only when we can find peace within ourselves, really, and find that quiet. And sometimes that means, like what you said, sometimes that means taking a social media break. Sometimes that means, because there are so many distractions, you know, and that's what they are, distractions. They're distracting you, me, Hero, from finding our best frequency, for living, you know. It's for getting out of almost like that cloud that's just pressing down on us, right? So for sure. And you put up a lot of good points, Chloe, professionally and personally, and also spiritually, especially for myself and Rachel, with what we've been going through in our own lives, and some of the things we've talked about with our other guests in the last few episodes as well. We're all on the same wavelength in terms of getting out of our own self-limiting beliefs, challenging society and what it says is supposed to be, I guess you could say, the standard, and reforming, in sense, not even reforming, just removing any kind of form of what a standard is for humanity, no matter what you might be doing. And knowing that there is nothing to lose. I mean, in some ways there could be, but the gains that come from the potential of losing, I find, are a lot more probable, because you're expanding your consciousness to seeing what else is capable, what else is tangible. You know what I mean? So I think what our viewers will really take away from this conversation with you is the ability to know everything you want to set out to do, no matter what you have come from, wherever you've come, where you're going to.
you can cultivate whatever you wish to cultivate, and you have so many tools and so many people out there that are willing to support you, as long as you know that they are there and you can utilize the tools that they have to provide yourself.
Yeah,
absolutely. Beautifully said.
So as we, I always like look at the clock. We always do this. We're like, I can't believe we've been talking for this long, but which is awesome because it always ends up just being so smooth and easy. And, you know, I really, 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 really am thankful that you agreed to do this with us.
Of course, it was so great to hear from you, you know, and really, do you know, I love how things circle back around, you know. I say the same thing about, like, even when I was on the show Pop Stars, and like it's amazing now how, like, I'm actually now in touch with the girls that I was in the group with, and I'm actually going to be bringing them on to the show. So we
might have to turn the volume down on that one. Yeah. Yeah. Are you deaf yet, by the way?
Oh, goodness. Honestly, honestly, the joys.
Sorry, you said you're bringing them on the show, which is awesome. So like you said, circling back around and reconnecting with.
And I just know that I always believe, like, even in life, I just know that things usually recircle for us to learn whatever we needed to learn, what we didn't learn at that time. Or maybe there's just like a greater purpose for what we thought, you know, what we thought it was is actually a way bigger purpose if we can align ourselves with that reality, you know. And so for me, I'm really excited about the future. I'm excited right now. Like, I'm so present with what's happening in this moment, because that's really all we have is this moment. Like, we don't know if we have tomorrow isn't promised, but I am definitely excited for the future. I'm energized for the future. I'm really looking forward, because I just know beautiful things are up ahead that are literally going to bring so much joy and healing and hope to people. And so I'm so thankful to be part of that story.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Okay, so as you probably are aware, near the end of any kind of show, plugging yourself, how can people find you? I mean, we'll put it in the show notes, of course, but how can people find you? And your radio show, can we listen to it online? Like, how do we, you know, give yourself as much time as you need.
Okay.
How we can connect with you.
So you can find me, you can go to my website, chloemorganmusic.com. And, you know, if any of your listeners want to go there and they want to sign up and be part of my community, I give them a free mix straight away as soon as they sign up. So they just need to go to the sign up page, sign up. And then I also give out, like, free shows and a lot of free goodies and all kinds of stuff. And then they get to obviously be part of my journey and all that kind of thing. So chloemorganmusic.com.
Perfect.
You can find me on social media, on Instagram at Chloe M Music. You can also find me on Facebook and TikTok at Chloe Morgan Music.
Okay.
And my radio show is called Vibes for You. And as Vibes 4, 4 U, just a U. Yeah. And that is on DJRADIO.ca.
Okay.
And literally I can go to DJRADIO.ca every Saturday, 1 p.m. PST.
Okay.
And you will hear my show on there. And I would love to join and tune in. Not only are the interviews amazing, the music is just like the best music. It's such a vibe. Love you. It's such a vibe.
Love it. I'll listen to that. I was just thinking, I'm like, what do I typically do in the middle of the day on a Saturday? If it's nice outside, I'll go for a stand-up paddle on the lake, and maybe I'll bring you with me and I'll listen to it, and I'll just, like, you know, jam on my paddleboard. Why not?
Absolutely. And send me videos, send me stuff. Because I'd love to share people listening or whatever to it, you know.
Absolutely. That's great. So we have one more fun question, and it's great. Usually we ask the same question at the end of the show, and so we've kind of switched it up starting with this episode. Still kind of a juice related question, but what we wanted to ask you is that if you were to choose or have orange juice with or without pulp, do you have a preference and why? What's juicier for you?
Yeah. Okay. So my favorite orange juice, and really the only orange juice, I don't drink stuff out of the cartons, or I literally freshly squeeze everything. So it does have pulp in it, obviously, because it's fresh, but it's not like super pulpy, because I don't like that either. When it's like thick pulp and you're trying to get to the juice, and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
So I do like. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, we just like, where's the juice? It's just, where's the liquid? Where is the liquid? But yeah, no, I mean, I love freshly squeezed orange juice. It has to be fresh. That's the only kind of orange juice I drink.
Do you make it at home?
I do. We have a juicer. I do.
Lovely.
I mean, I juice all the time and shake and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect. Yeah. We are all aligned then, because we all think the same way. There we go.
Yes, I love that.
I gotta say, I mean, I'm really healthy, but I love pizza. I mean, my favorite. Have you been to Straight Out of Brooklyn? It's like
it's right on Robson.
There's one on Robson. There's one on Kingsway. I mean,
oh right, yes,
is so good. I love pizza in general. It's just
I was gonna say, Chloe, I married an Italian, so pizza is like his middle name, and it's like, but it has to be. He's so picky with pizza, so it has to be like from Naples, like thin, hardly any. Okay, cool.
The Straight Out of Brooklyn, it is like one of the best pizzas in the city. You know, the other place I like to go is on Commercial Drive. I can't think of what it's called now.
Oh, have you been to the one on Victoria Drive called Via Tevre?
No.
Okay, speaking from married to an Italian, you have to go to the one on Victoria Drive. It's like the most authentic pizza, I think.
Oh my goodness.
Italian pizza.
I'm going to be there now. I know. Yeah. I mean, I love my food. I'm like, we should go for dinner, because I'm just like,
absolutely.
You wouldn't even believe how much food I eat.
Oh my God. If you took me for all you can eat sushi, I'd be like, no. Jews, I mean, again, not to throw our culture under the bus, but like, we're like ducks. We just eat and eat and eat and eat, and like bottomless pit. There's no limit. We will eat.
Is that true? Okay, now
I find that to be the case. My family, you give my family for a Shabbat dinner anything on the table, it's gone by the end of the meal. Like, there is no leftovers at all.
But that's because we were taught, though, not to. It's like, it's an old world as well. Like, don't leave any food on your plate. Don't waste anything, right? So there's that too, I think. But
But you know, it's weird for me now. I eat so much food and I'm still hungry. And I'm like, how is this possible? I just had dinner and I'm still hungry. Like, you know what it is? I think I got so much going on that my metabolism is just like.
I was just going to say that.
Non-stop. But I'm just like, this is good. I'm actually now, you know, I try and gain weight.
Oh my goodness.
It's like impossible. I suppose having a baby too.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God. Well, okay, the next time I'm down, because I actually don't live in Vancouver. I live in Vernon, so I live in the Okanagan. So yeah, but that's a story for another time. We moved up here.
I missed the whole you got married and the whole life, and I need to catch up. We need to catch up for sure.
I was just gonna say that. So the next time I'm down there, or I don't know if you've ever come up this way, but we will. Yeah, we'll definitely. I'd love to have more of like a real personal catch up, which would be great. So
love that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, but for the meantime, thank you so much. This is.
Thank you so much for having me.
Been wonderful. Congrats on your show. I look forward to listening to it, and all the best. I know it's. I guess if we could leave people with anything, it's basically
go check out Stars.
Yes, and I saw your shirt. Yes, or your hoodie. Okay. Yeah.
Go check out Stars on YouTube.
Love it.
Morgan Music Stars. the video's actually, it's been out for 2 months and it's had 100K views already.
Holy crap.
Wow.
That's awesome. That is freaking awesome. Yes.
Yay.
I'm going to put that on while I now go to my paid gig at home working. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, once again, thank you so much.
Did you enjoy the record? Did you enjoy the record?
I love stars. I love just seeing, because you ask people, to you've got some dance moves.
Yes.
Choreographed dance moves. And I love that you've asked people to send you or to tag you in their TikToks and things like that, which is so cool. Like to me, that was super uplifting. And just to see that how you're touching people's lives and bringing this positivity, and it's fantastic. Loved it.
Amazing. I love it. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to revisit with you guys and just see obviously where the future takes us all.
Yeah.
We can't wait. Definitely. We'll all be in Toronto, so we'll all be in a different province, and Rachel will still be happily in Vernon. So
Vancouver right now. Are you in Vancouver right now?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Vancouver. I'm right downtown. How about yourself?
Yeah, we're actually out in White Rock at the moment. Yeah. Okay. And we actually moved during the pandemic, so it was actually the best move because it's just so nice out here too. And I like driving into the city. I do it quite often because I have a studio there. And so I'm always but I like that drive because it's that thinking time. I love driving for first of all. And plus I'm going to be getting my visa for the States soon. So I've got to get used to that long, especially if I'm going to LA. It's all that
oh my gosh,
driving.
Yes,
that's true. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know I'm just being prepped right now, but that's amazing.
White Rock is so are you near the water or?
I am actually right by just off the 99.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a big save on. I'm literally right by there.
I know exactly where that is. That's fantastic. Oh my goodness.
That's so great.
Okay, well, Chloe,
stay
in touch. Thank you.
Good luck with everything. Keep in touch.
Honestly, I've had such a great time with you guys. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We hope to continue doing this as well. So
absolutely.
All
awesome.
right.
Okay,
thank you, Chloe.
Have an awesome day. Oh my God. I'm so critical of myself. This is just the worst with everything today with my lighting and everything.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. Inside and out. Inside and out.
Oh, thanks. Lovely. Well, enjoy your day and we'll chat soon. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chloe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.